see somebody that has the things you want, you can't think to yourself, oh, must be nice, good for them. You can't think that they're somehow the chosen ones and you're not. Because if there's people out there that are the chosen ones, who chooses the chosen ones? Hey there, it's Agnes. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video entitled The Secret Key to Forgiveness. And it was all about, I described the Ho'oponopono prayer and how the world is a hallway of mirrors designed to reflect back to us where we stand for the purpose of growth and self-mastery. And today I wanted to talk about the flip side of that. When I talk about the world of mirrors, what I mean is that everywhere that you go, things are reflected back to you based on what's going on in your mind, based on past hurts, past traumas, past experiences, your expectations. All of these things are a factor in how you perceive the world around you. And so when you see patterns in your life, this means that there is something within you that might need attention or might need healing or might need acceptance. So looking for patterns is the best way to begin the process of healing. But I want to talk about the other side of this, the fun side of this. And that is when you see people that you admire, that you adore, that you maybe even feel jealous of because they have qualities that maybe you don't have, or that they just appeal to you and you find them to be incredible and amazing and awesome, and even that jealousy might creep in. And jealousy is one of those things that really hinders your manifestation. So when you find yourself feeling jealous of people that have the things that you want, it's very important to, again, take a step back and notice patterns and notice when you felt like this before in your life and how often these types of feelings are brought up in you, so that you can begin to heal these thoughts of jealousy, so that you can actually get over them and go towards your desired reality and not get pulled farther away from your desired reality. Every time that you feel jealous, every time that you feel like, oh, good for them, must be nice, any of those types of feelings, you're actually getting pushed farther from where you want to be. So this is important to address and not to ignore. But what I wish to inspire within you today is to let you know that whenever you see something that you admire in anybody, even if they might seem so far away from where you currently are, you need to know that the only reason why you even notice that about them, the only reason why you're even attracted to those parts of them, is because that exists within you. You wouldn't have the ability to even notice or to even be around them in their greatness, in that moment that they're inspiring you. You would not have the ability to be in the physical proximity of them, or to hear their message, or to receive the message, or to notice the things that they're doing. You wouldn't have the capability of any of that if it didn't already exist in you. So when you see somebody that you look up to, acknowledge that, holy cow, this is in me. It might just be like a little seed or just like a tiny little spark that needs to get ignited a little more to like fully come out, but it's in there. And so when you know that it's in there, you know that you can nurture it, and it can grow and it can blossom and it can become something more. So recognize that in those mentors and those leaders and those people that you see that you're putting up on a pedestal. Don't put them up on a pedestal, because it resides in you. Put yourself up on a pedestal. Take their message, take what they're doing, their way of being, as an important step in the process of becoming and growing. Use it as inspiration, use it as fuel, but remember that it is inside of you already, or else you wouldn't have recognized it in them. So if it exists in you already, it requires nurturing so that it can expand. And you have to pull yourself out of this mentality that when you see somebody that has the things you want, you can't think to yourself, oh, must be nice, good for them. You can't think that they are somehow the chosen ones and you're not. Because if there's people out there that are the chosen ones, who chooses the chosen ones? Who decides which ones are the ones that get to have it all and which ones are the ones that just desire things for their whole lives? It wouldn't make sense to think that God decides that, because if God is like our father, our parent, our creator, our maker, then he treats us all equally. He has an equal amount of love for every single one of us. So it wouldn't make sense that he would single out individuals to be the chosen ones. It only makes sense to think that we decide. We get to choose. We get the same opportunity here on earth to have free will, to make decisions, to believe what we want to believe, to look for proof in the world around us that what we believe is true, because you'll always find it. Whatever you believe is true, you will find proof of that. So if you believe that abundance is your birthright, that you deserve it, that you're worthy of it, you will go out in the world and you will find proof of that. But if you believe that there's a chosen few and you're not one of them, you will find proof of that. But it only makes sense to think that we are in charge. And of course, everybody is born into a very unique set of circumstances. Some people have to overcome a lot. Some people don't have to overcome so much. Some people are born into poverty. Some people are born into abundance. Some people are born into loving homes. Some people are born into homes where they have to feel abandonment. But all of those things are a starting point where you can choose to grow from there. So whatever the circumstances that you were in, whatever the past, whatever you had to endure, you can choose to accept that as reality, or you can choose that that will be your pushing off point and your starting point to grow and to create the life that actually you envision for yourself. And that there is no such thing as a chosen person. There's only choices that each individual person makes. And with each individual choice, we can propel ourselves further and farther, and it all stems from the belief that we can. Sometimes you need someone to tell you that you can. Sometimes that belief isn't just born within you. Sometimes you need permission. That's why you can look up to somebody that's an inspirational mentor to give you that permission, to highlight for you what's possible, so that you never have to look at somebody and think, oh, good for them, must be nice. You look at them and you say, this is possible. And actually, if you look at many successful people, many of them, I believe it's like 80%, I've looked at the statistic before, are self-made, meaning they didn't come from money. They didn't come from having everything handed to them. And in fact, most people that are successful, they are the ones that had to overcome the most. Like, I come from an immigrant family and I know exactly what it took for my parents and my husband's parents and our grandparents to come over to a new country where they didn't speak the language, where they didn't have any money, they didn't have any skills that were required for them to be successful here. And they came with nothing. And they had to build everything that they had. But because they had nothing, because they were at the rock bottom, that was the best bouncing off point for them. And they had to push themselves, and they had to be strong, and they had to be tough, and they had to have a big dream, and they had to pursue the dream as if there was no other choice, because there was no safety net. There was nowhere to fall back on. Once they came here, they had to pursue what they came here for. There was no going back. And so it's not necessarily that when you see the people that are successful that you assume that they were just born that way, but that's not true. They made a decision, whether a conscious or maybe unconscious decision, but they made a decision. And they had the free will, just like anybody else, to do any other thing, but they chose to do the thing that they did to help them to arrive at where they arrived. And so when you see these people, always take it as a permission slip to move forward for yourself, to seek that success for yourself, to seek that happiness, that joy, that abundance, because you see that it's possible. If one person did it, that means it's possible, right? That means that it's been done. And if it's been done once, it can be done again. And actually, you can improve the method. You can improve what they did, because you have the ability to look and see what they did, and also to see what they did right and what they did wrong. If you ask the people that you look up to, what are the failures that you went through? What are the things that you wish you would have known when you started? Get curious. Start asking people. The ones that you admire, just ask them questions and let them tell you their journey. You can learn a lot from that. A lot of times we see a successful person and we just assume that A, they got it handed to them, and B, that they just did one thing and then that one thing just got them to where they are. But actually, you don't know how many times they failed. You don't know how many businesses that they opened up that they landed flat on their face and they lost all their money. And they had to start from scratch, and all those failures and all those times that they had to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and force themselves to get up and get going at it again. You only see their final chapter, you only see the final project, but you don't see what happened along the way. You don't see the whole journey. And a lot of times people don't really talk about the whole journey. But if you know somebody that you admire, ask them and get some insight. Take notes, learn from them, but don't just put them in a box that, oh, those are just those successful people, good for them, must be nice, and I'm gonna stay over here in my safe little area where I just am average and average things happen to me. And one of the biggest lies that I think people tell themselves is, I don't need more, I'm fine just the way I am. I don't need to grow, I don't need a lot of money, I'm just fine exactly as I am. I think that if you're truly honest with yourself, you know that that's not true. Nobody is ever satisfied where they are. We're only satisfied when we're growing. We're only satisfied when we're going towards something bigger, something better, some goal, some idea. That's where all the fun is. That's where you get excited. That's where you find your joy, is when you're going towards something. Like, think about if you're married, for example. Think about when you got engaged. Like, for me, that was one of the most exciting years of my life, because it was like, okay, I got engaged, which was so fun, but now I get to plan this wedding and all of these little details, and my dress and the honeymoon and the party and all the people. And of course there's parts of that that are stressful, but it was such an exciting year because it was this huge goal that I was getting closer to every day, and there were so many bits and parts of it that I got to design and create. And whenever you're creating, you're gonna feel good. It's usually when we're consuming that we start to feel low, that we start to feel like we don't have a purpose, that we start to feel like there's no meaning to any of it. But when we're creating something, we feel incredible. And so when people say, I'm fine just the way I am, I don't need anything more, I think you're lying to yourself, because you need to be setting some type of goal, some kind of future for yourself that you're moving towards. Otherwise, things just become meaningless. And it's not that you shouldn't be satisfied with what you have, because you absolutely want to be satisfied with what you have right now. But it's like this satisfaction of where I am and gratitude, so grateful for where I am, but this eagerness for where I'm going, this excitement for the party, for the wedding, for the honeymoon. It's this excitement. And when you get there, like when after the wedding was over, and it was kind of stressful and kind of like you're unsure, you don't know if it's all going to work out the way that you hope that it will, and so you have all these ideas and all these things swirling through your head, and all the people and everything, and then you have the party, and it's like this big bang, and it's so fun, and it's so wonderful having all your friends and family in one space celebrating you. Like, that's one of the most incredible things that I've ever experienced, I think. But then you go on your honeymoon, and then when we were on our honeymoon, I felt like this big weight kind of off my shoulders, because I no longer have to think wedding planning. But the future was like this unknown. Like, okay, when we get back, we're gonna be moving into our new house, and we're gonna be buying furniture, and we're gonna be decorating, and the possibility of this future was so invigorating. It was such a wonderful feeling. It felt like I was so accomplished because the wedding was over, so I felt so accomplished and so done. But I also felt so eager for the next thing. And that's the feeling that you want to have with everything you do. Feel the accomplishment and the satisfaction of everything that you've done up until this point, but the eagerness of where you're still headed and what's still possible for you. So when you see people that achieved what you already had, or what you want, or what you're dreaming about, or even something that you're just hoping, like, wow, that would be awesome if I could have that, please don't ever look at them and think any less of yourself. Look at them only as inspiration to what's possible. And so that they're illuminating something within you that is getting woken up. And maybe that thing wouldn't have gotten woken up at all if you didn't see it in this other person. So give gratitude for that. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for the reflection. Now that I see what you've done, I think this might exist within me, and I might be able to do more. And that's a great feeling. And that can lead you to set goals and to dream and to get excited and to get into creator mode, because you have to get creative. It's not going to be given to you. Even if they tell you exactly what they did step by step by step to get to their success, and they tell you all their failures, and they tell you where they succeeded, and they tell you the things that they would not repeat, even if you try to replicate all of that, it won't work out exactly the same way for you, because you're your own unique individual person with your own unique individual perspectives, and it's going to be a different path. But what you have to do now is get creative. Sit in your imagination. Take all the information that you get and then sit in your imagination. Ask your higher self for guidance. Ask your higher self to give you intuitive hits, to show you things, and be willing to be open to receiving them. And as you sit in your imagination and you get and you work on cultivating your creativity, this is how you get into creator mode. And you start doing little things that you think are the right things to do. And now doubt creeps in, right? And doubt is just a killer of all dreams. So it's important to eliminate doubt from your mind. If you believe that what you're doing is the thing that you should be doing, then you must pray the prayer that says, I do what I do, and what I do is enough. I do my part, and God does his part. You must have this belief. You must have this faith. If you have this faith, you will make it so. But doubt will set you back 100 steps. Jealousy will set you back 100 steps. So just don't even acknowledge that in your life. You don't have any time or space for any of that in your life. You need to know where you're going. You need to know that what you do is enough. You need to know that you are enough. You are worthy of every dream that you have. If the dream was not yours to fulfill, you wouldn't have it. You cannot imagine something that is not possible for you to have. If it's not possible for you to have, you won't imagine it. It just won't be a part of your thinking at all. The fact that it's in your thinking, the fact that you're seeing it in your mind's eye, means that you have the ability to have it. You got to get creative. You have to have faith, and you have to see every single person along the way, every mentor along the way, as the inspiration and the proof that you can have it too. I really hope this helps you and inspires you. Share this with a friend if there's someone that you think that needs to hear this message. And please comment if you have any thoughts or ideas, or if this brings up a memory for you. I'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.